Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over what is happening with new car inventories and what this means for the car market moving forward. Before we get into the video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Let's get into it. So the inventory data that I'm going to be going over in today's video comes from Cox Automotive. The big headline figure is that there is about 1.9 million new vehicles in inventory right now. Well, not exactly, because this inventory number not only takes into account vehicles that are on dealer lots, but also vehicles that are in transit to dealers. Not all vehicles in transit, but some vehicles that are in transit. Now this represents a 53-day supply and an average listing price of $47,400. So if you look at that day supply number, that's actually slightly lower than what we had last month. The day supply number last month, and when I say last month, I mean March because we're going over April's numbers, was 57 days. So we have, and also if you look at March's amount of cars available, it was less than 1.9 million. So the point that I'm trying to make here is there are more cars available on dealer lots, but this represents a smaller day supply, which means that the sales rate is increasing. So new cars are starting to sell at a faster pace, and this is why they are now estimating that there's going to be about 15 million plus new vehicles sold in 2023, which will be more than what we saw in 2022, or actually, sorry, 15.9, so almost 16 million vehicles. So I was off by 0.9, whatever. But the point that I'm trying to make there is that new vehicles, right, they're selling even better. But not all manufacturers are created equal with what is currently happening, because you have some manufacturers that have a crazy amount of inventory and you have other manufacturers that don't have a lot of inventory. So the general trends is that a lot of luxury brands, they're starting to build up when it comes to inventory, and then domestic brands also have quite a bit of inventory. The brands that don't have a lot of inventory are going to be your import brands that are non-luxury. Some of the import brands that are luxury still have pretty constrained inventory. So like BMW, Land Rover, those are two good examples. But if you're wondering, the manufacturer that has the least amount of inventory still is Toyota, and that's followed by Kia and Honda. They're all under 30 days with their supply. And if you go to a Toyota, a Kia, or a Honda dealership, then you will definitely see that. You'll see that they have like no inventory. But if we go on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, Buick, Jaguar, Jeep, Chrysler, Infiniti, they all have well over 100 days of supply now is what it looks like. Well, not all of them, but some of them are creeping up there, yeah. And then Ram's also in that boat as well. And so you can see that there's just this huge split in the car industry, because you basically have some automakers that have no cars to sell, right, on dealer lots. They're sold out. And then you have other automakers that have tons of cars that are available. But again, the average, right, 53 days. And so this really does show the split that we have in the market, though, with pricing, right? Because if you go to a Toyota dealership, you don't really have any negotiating power. But if you go into, let's say, a Buick dealership or a Jeep dealership that has over 100 days worth of supply, the negotiating power you have is a lot stronger. And frankly, those dealerships at this point, most of them are just discounting the vehicles online. Like you see the vehicles, priced out. It shows the MSRP, and then it'll show some sort of discount with most of these brands at this point. And so, again, it just shows that, like I said earlier, the split in the market. So let's talk about what this actually means for the car market moving forward. And I think this data is extremely important because, first off, it shows that the new car market is way more robust than what anyone actually expected, because everyone expected that sales would decline in 2023 with the higher interest rates and with our economic conditions. But that's not what's happening. Sales are actually increasing as time goes on, and they're increasing at the same time that manufacturing is increasing. It seems like as automakers build more cars, more people dive into the market and buy cars. And I think there's a number of reasons for this. So if you look at the brands that are still pretty much sold out, again, Honda, Kia, and Toyota, for example. When I say sold out, again, they've got really low day supply numbers. Well, those brands all build cars that are considered affordable, right, and reliable. I know some people might say, Kia, reliable? But you got to remember, they've got a 10-year warranty on their powertrains. And so whether or not the car is actually reliable doesn't really matter, because most people don't keep their car for 10 whole years. And so the point that I'm trying to make is, when economic conditions are not the greatest, those are the types of cars that people flee towards, is the cars that are more affordable and deemed as more reliable. So it makes sense as to why those cars continue to be sold out, even though those manufacturers have actually increased their production. And then if you look at the cars that are not as sold out, again, a lot of the domestic brands and some of these luxury brands, well, they're actually still selling more cars, but they're also building cars at a faster rate than they are selling them. And that's why their day supply numbers are so high. And so on the surface, when you look at these brands, you're like, oh man, they must be struggling. But it's also like, well, some of them are actually selling more cars this year than what they did last year. Yes, they're selling them at a discounted price because they just have so many vehicles available now, but the sales are still up. And so I guess that this is, good news for dealers. I guess it's good news for automakers because, pretty much across the board. And again, when you look at sales by automaker, right, pretty much across the board, sales are up. There are some automakers that are down year over year, like Jeep, for example, but that's not the norm. And so if this trend continues as the year progresses and if it continues into next year, then the thing that's not so exciting to say is that this means that the car market is basically just going to slowly trend towards, again, what people might consider a more normal car market, where you have some vehicles that have really big discounts because availability is really high, and you have other vehicles that you don't have a lot of discounts because availability is really low. And when you look at the spread of availability across brands, it's not a perfect mirror image of what we saw prior to the pandemic, but it's actually, frankly, getting pretty dang close. And so, yeah, it's the boring answer, but that's just kind of where the car market is trending. And so, the crash that everyone thought that we would see with the new car market and with new car prices, it's not really happening. What instead is happening is that we're just basically trending towards larger discounts because availability is increasing. And so we're basically just going to have to deal with, I guess, spending more money the next time we go and buy a new car. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation, and let me know if you think that it's still worth holding out. Like, do you think that prices are going to drop dramatically in the future, or do you think that this is it? Like, this is just the discounts that we're going to see, and they're going to kind of remain like this into the future? I'll see you.